Hello, hello. Hey folks, today a very quick test using the new Pimax Crystal Light. Had to get this thing set up using OBS, all sorts of science and crazy things. I had to consult with, the local goats, sheep and giraffes. But the good news is, well, I hopefully have it working. So the main hardware hassle I was having on my system, I had to disable the hardware assisted scheduling something. It's called HAGS. It's a Windows setting. You go into your graphic options and you can turn it off in there. With it on, I was just getting CTD after CTD. It was pointing at an NVIDIA problem, but since I turned it off, everything so far has been tickety-boo. So we're here in the Duke. This is the Blacksquare Duke, the piston version, and we're on the ground here down at Kerry, Echo India Kilo Yankee. It's Kerry weather. And well, what we're going to do, we're going to take the Duke out for a quick spin up to Shannon, just to see how the thing behaves. And I want to be testing kind of frame rate and audio and all that sort of jazz as well. Also, when you're recording in VR, as I said, it was a job, right? There tends to be a lot of shaking. Now, I don't notice that obviously when I'm in the headset, and things are just as sharp and as crisp as you can get out of the sim. Inside the headset, it's quite remarkable actually. So look, we'll just kind of play it by ear, see what we can do. But using VR, I mean, the last VR headset I used was my own Rift S. So it's like going from black and white into color. So it's incredible just how clear and how kind of punchy the Pimax Crystal Light is. I mean, it's like I'm sitting in front of my monitor, but it's just, I mean, if the setting's fairly tanked, so it's working very well. But again, like I haven't been able to appreciate this level of detail, especially when you look about aircraft developers and the work they go through. We see an awful lot in a 2D form, but I mean, you absolutely have this new perspective when it's in a full 3D environment. It's absolutely incredible. And yeah, I may never come out of the... Did you ever see The Lawnmower Man? Right, now, anyway, we have a little tablet down here. And let's see here now. So that's all looking grand. Payload, it's great. I don't even have to move forward for this. Look, isn't it brilliant? Right, so we're going to pop up some fuel. Let's go 90 in each tank. And we'll go ahead and get the chocks covers for the pitos and the engines away. Everything else we'll leave it alone. So we're going to start off with the battery. So we'll go ahead and get the battery on. And we're going to remove our control lock and also our throttle lock. We're going to put our nav and our beacon light on. And while we're here, we'll go ahead and put on the pre-oiler. Fuel tanks, left and right, are already set. Little panel lights down here, turn these on as well. All our instruments are starting to take shape. You gotta love it, right? Isn't it absolutely class? Right, while we're waiting, we're going to put our prop to full. We're going to open up the mixture on the right side. And we'll go ahead and put on our booster pump. Good sound coming in. We're going to advance the throttle. We'll see full movement. And we've got good fuel flow on the right. And give it another blast. A way of priming the engine. Alright, so booster pump off. Mags right, left, both. Pre-oiler off. And we'll crank the throttle here a little bit. Parking brakes are already on. So we shall say, clear prop! And let's go for an L start. And it's a good start on the right side. Watch the RPMs. Ease off a little bit on our mixture. Temperatures and pressures are starting to rise. Start the pre-oiler on the left-hand side. Get the right generator in. Man, the sounds of this thing are incredible. Okay, so we're going to advance our mixture for the left side. Booster pump on. I'm going to do the same again, advancing the left throttle. Positive fuel flow. We're looking good. Yep, we're looking good. Okay, booster pump coming off. Mags, right, left, and both. Pre-oiler off. Clear prop! And we have a good start on the left. Okay, generator, bring it on. We're looking good. Bring the mixture back a little bit. And we'll go ahead and get our avionics powered up. And let's see how this goes. Okay, so inverter's on, avionics master's coming on, and we've reset our altitude. All our instruments are here. We'll go ahead and bring this one onto weather. Got to throw some precip on our weather radar here. Go ahead and zoom in. Now, what else do we want to do? We want to put our trims on. We're going to test the autopilot function. We have a small little test button just down here. Where's that red switch? Here we go. That's looking good. Autopilot active. And she's going to heading mode to the right hand side. And go ahead and turn it off. I'm happy enough with that. Alrighty, so let me see. We'll go in and just do a direct to. So we're going to put in Shannon, which is Echo India November November. This is so awesome. I don't need to move away from or move closer to the screen. It's brilliant. Okay, 38 nautical miles away. That's looking good for us. Let's double check on our systems here. Engines, we're okay. 100% on each. Prop sync, leave that off at the moment. Vent blower, 17 degrees inside the cabin. That's all modelled. Pitot heat can come on both sides. Cowl flaps, leave them alone for the minute. Outside air temperature is fine here as well. You can actually tap on all the instruments as well, which is, it's just deadly. Now what I need to do, I need to bring up my little flow wheel in VR, which you can do. It just opens it inside a panel. And what we're going to do, we'll go headphone simulation. There we go, that sounds a little bit better and more to what I'm used to when we're actually in a plane wanting to fly around. So let me see, we have wing ice light, don't worry about that. Taxi light can now come on. We're going to let El Paddy know that we want to start moving. And we'll do our run up test here now in a moment. Quick check before we go. Inverters, electrical system is good. Generators are good. Cowl flaps are okay. Doors are closed. Annunciator panel, nothing there screaming at us. No, we're looking good. Disappear that menu. And what we're going to do now, we're going to taxi forward. So off the brake. I'll go for Jimmy over there and let's see what happens. So a bit of power coming in. Start our turn. Good man, Paddy. And we'll start taxiing out of Kerry. As I said, it's a bit of a strange one here with the weather, but once we get airborne, this should make it nice and fairly clear once we get up to a bit of altitude. So we'll test the brakes as we're moving. Seems to be okay. And let me see, let me check the volumes and stuff here. We're doing okay. Just making sure all our volumes are working and I don't need to panic. Right, we will do a run-up test just as we come, just before the runway. And the sun is about to come up here. Man, this is a beautiful airplane. It really, really is. It's stunning. They've done a great job on this. And I love the liveries as well. Altitude for today's flight, we'll stick it in there at 6,000 feet. And we'll let the autopilot do a bit of work. So as we continue on here, we'll actually do our run-up test on the taxiway. There's no one else here at Kerry. There's a Gulfstream parked up behind us, but he doesn't seem to be going anywhere. So quick check on our temperatures and pressures. Cylinders are a little bit on the cool side. Oil is good though. So we'll bring ourselves to a stop here. And what we're going to do is do an engine run-up test. So mixture fully rich on both. Start bringing that RPM up. We're going to aim for about 2,000. Takes a while to get there. Bit of patience needed. Man, the sounds. Okay, so we want to level it off as best we can. Down a smidgen. And let it stable. Okay, so we're going to do a mag test. Right engine first. We're going to go onto its left mag. Should see a drop there, somewhere between 50 and 100. We're looking good. Back to both. And it rises up once more. Then we'll go onto the right mag on the right engine. I probably said left. Don't listen to me, but it's grand. We know what we're doing. So both the right and left mags are working okay on our right engine. Now to our left engine, same crack again, over to the left mag. There's a drop. Back to both. And we'll go on to the right mag for the left engine. There's a drop. And back to both. Increase the RPM a little bit further, up to about 2,300. And what we're looking for here now, we're going to do a prop test, or a prop cycle. First thing we're going to check is for a drop in RPM. There it is. Second one we're going to do is going to be an increase in manifold pressure. There it is. And our very last one then is going to be a drop off in our fuel flow. That's good enough for me. Alright, run up complete. Go ahead and bring that power back. And just before we hit the active, we're going to get our landing lights on. And we're going to get all our strobes and flashy lights on. What else do we need down here? These are all looking good to me. Again, cabin temperature 18 degrees, don't need to worry about that just yet. We will, however, go for it not to flaps. Flaps are in transit, and we'll see them go into the arm position. Blue light, that looks good. Now we're going to do a flight control test, so it's going to be full left. Ailerons left, up and down. Right side, ailerons up and down. Do full forward, full back. I'll go rudder right, rudder left. Controls feel free and correct. And well, from here, friends, it's all about getting ourselves lined up with the active. So continue our taxi. Watch the power as we're doing it. Go ahead into our transponder. We'll just stick that one to on. And just take our time here. Right is clear. And left is clear. It's amazing as well the extra accuracy and control you have inside VR. If you've never used VR with a flight sim, it is an absolute game changer. It has to be experienced before you suddenly realise, do you know what, this could completely transform how I flight sim. And for a lot of people, motion sickness is a thing, right? These things can make you a little bit queasy. My advice, get a fan, you know, point it at you and just keep that cold air on you. Doesn't matter if you get cold, just keep the cold air on you. Also, have a drink nearby, ideally a glass of water, nothing fizzy, just something nice and cold. And you almost have to condition yourself. You will get used to VR, and you'll be able to prolong your experience and your sessions. Effectively how it works is, if you give yourself, okay, you know, set an alarm on your phone, let's give myself 10 minutes. And the secret here is all about gentle flying. So give yourself 10 minutes of just gentle flying. You don't want to be jumping around or, you know, moving the cameras around. Just take your time with it. And then, you know, that's kind of your benchmark. Then you start increasing it after that. So I'd always recommend that. Right, okay, I think we're looking good. Flight controls, everything's good. We're walking, talking, and we're squawking. Alright, guys, let's go flying. So, power coming in, off the brakes. And we're moving. Takeoff power is set. Beautiful sounds in this aircraft. Our speed is alive. There's 80 knots. There's 90. Yep, see daisy. Positive rate of climb. Gear up. Tapping our toe brakes. And gear indicates up. And we'll go ahead and bring the flaps back in. That will drop the nose, help us out. Nice. Okay. Quick checks, temperatures and pressures all in the green. And we'll start bringing our power back down. RPM is a little bit on the high side. You go down a small bit. We're maintaining a fairly steep climb here. 2,000 feet a minute, holding 120 knots. Go ahead and turn on our prop sync. Keep those guys working together. And for our heading mode, we'll go autopilot on. Autopilot engaged. Attitude, we'll hold probably 1,000. Bring that down maybe 2 clicks. Down you get to double. And we'll hold about 1,000 feet. There we go. A little bit more on our left hand side. We can turn over to 360 degrees. Our CDI is already on GPS, so we can zoom out here. And we can go ahead and arm our nav. So that's all armed up. That'll take us onto our little magenta line. As we say goodbye to County Kerry. Man, it's nice, isn't it? And, well, a bit more cloud. Murphy's Law, there's more cloud ahead of us, but it'll be grand. So we're climbing nicely here now. Manifold pressure's good. RPM is good. And we can work on our mixture here now in a moment. 17 degrees inside the cabin, that's quite okay. And from this position, I mean, if we wanted to, you know, the joys of a flight sim, I mean, once you're in autopilot, you just sit back and enjoy the view. And again, it's being in VR, it really gives you that extra kind of perspective. I mean, you don't want to sound like that guy, but like, you'll see the airplane from a totally different perspective. You'll see it the way it was meant to be seen, which is just stunning. And then you have that scenery outside. And this is before we even look at flights in 2024. Like, it's just staggering. Alright, so back into the cockpit, passing 3,500 feet, still climbing nicely. And so far is so good. Double check our annunciator, make sure there's nothing going to be lighting up. We're looking good. At this stage now we can start bringing in those cowl flaps. You can actually see them down there. I don't know if you can notice that. See where the mouse cursor is? I don't know if you can see that. But there's the cowl flaps open, just between kind of the join of the engine and the wing. And I can bring those up there. Now that'll help us kind of review what we're doing with our temperatures. So far we're looking good. 16 degrees reading inside the cabin. It will get cooler as we climb, but for the moment we're doing grand. About 12 minutes out and we're looking good. In terms of weather or precip, not getting nothing on the radar. It's very, very light. Thousand feet to go. We'll rejig our heading indicator here in case anything goes wrong. There's our course set in as well. The speed very comfortable, 145 knots. 156 over the ground. And once we hit our target altitude of 6,000 feet, we'll level off and that speed will start coming up a little bit higher. Now there are kind of collision areas. Some aircraft are better than others, so you know I can kind of technically go outside. So getting your seating position when you're in VR, that's important. So you know, for every aircraft, it takes a couple of moments, just get your seat set up, save the view, and as I say, everything has to be very kind of slow and deliberate inside VR. I mean, just once you get used to it, I mean, look, it's so much fun when you're going around the place doing barrel rolls and loops and general messing. But certainly kind of from this sort of flying, I'm trying to hide my mouse, certainly for this sort of flying, it's all about keeping things controlled, nice and slow, and comfortable. Basically, there's nothing there that's going to either throw you off guard or, you know, you'll start feeling queasy. So speed is now 180 knots. This is super duper. 8 minutes away. Go ahead and zoom out a bit. I love the clarity. I mean, I can read everything bang on, and there is a sweet spot even with the Pimax Crystal Light. I mean, VR headsets have a sweet spot, and what is meant by that is, you know, I mean, if you're looking dead straight, if you keep your head level and then you move your eyes around, but they're not perfectly centered, it's, you know, it gets a little bit blurry. So the sweet spot on this is actually quite big. Once your head is pointing in the right direction, you have a fair bit of movement and everything stays extremely sharp. I've never seen VR this sharp before. It's absolutely incredible. So 7 minutes out. I suppose we're kind of this around kind of Abbey Field maybe, or maybe close to Adair now in a while. We'll come up close actually by Foynes. There's another aircraft I need to check out in VR, is the Boeing Clipper. Just got an update, and historically they used to fly into Foynes, which is just off there at our 11 o'clock. So even though it's a bit of a cloudy day, in the sim it's absolutely gorgeous to fly around. It's stunning. Look at there, look. And even then, when it comes to, you know, some of the forces on the aircraft, turbulence, bumps, all that kind of jazz, the default sim stuff works quite well, but like when you start adding in the likes of FS Realistic, it's incredible. Really starts throwing you around. So we're going to go for runway 26 for our landing into Shannon, which is grand. It's going to be a slight right hand turn. I'm just trying to find a way that I can keep the cable off the back of the Pimax, because I'm sitting on a chair that has there's a full back on the chair, so it can get kind of stuck behind you. Bit of a rainbow over there, look. So in terms of temperature, you know, does the headset get hot? It gets warm, but nothing that you're going to be, you know, worrying about, I think. Now during the summertime, yeah, you'll feel it, but it's nothing. It's nothing like it really isn't. The Rift got an awful lot hotter than this. Okay, 15 miles out. When we're at about 10 miles, we'll drop down our altitude and we'll start a turn to the right hand side. No real change to our weather. Now we could set up an ILS approach. We can go full IFR. But where's the crack in that? Speed is good. 200 indicated, 206 over the ground. 7 knots of a slight wind. Although looking at the wind there, we could be landing with a tailwind. We'll see what happens. So let's go ahead and arm things up here. So we're going to say 3,000 feet. Prop sync is already on. I left my landing lights on. No big to do. It's getting a little bit cool in the cabin, 11 degrees. So we'll go auto heat, vent blower on, manual heat. And let's see if we can increase the cabin temperature just a little bit. Man, that's pretty. The River Shannon, the Shannon estuary. So that kind of an orangey thing just beneath us there, that's called Ohanish alumina. Aluminum or aluminium, depending on your persuasion. And the Shannon Airport just up here on the right side. So we're going to start putting in a heading. Let's call it 100 degrees. We'll go down to select nav mode. Where are you in nav? Or heading mode, sorry. So heading mode engaged. And we'll also go attitude. And we're going to drop the nose down here. As we're doing that, we're going to start bringing back that power. Just to keep an eye on that speed. So manifold pressure coming down. We can increase the prop, that'll help us with our speed, but I don't want to go on too high. There's 190 now coming down. Looking across, that's Shannon Airport just on the far side of the River Shannon there. This is beautiful. Inside the clouds and everything. What an experience. I remember VR Flight Sim guy Steve was saying, like, this is what he usually does. He usually flies in VR. And kind of recently, especially with the Tech Alpha, it's kind of forced him to fly in 2D. And there's a comment he made, and it hasn't kind of left my thoughts since. He says, when you're in VR, you are the most immersed you can get. You're there just to fly the plane. In a 2D environment, I mean, yeah, you know, we're looking at our screens, we fly the plane, but we have all these other distractions around us. I mean, we can open a web browser, we can be watching a stream. Do you know what I mean? It kind of, you're forcing or you're allowing that disconnect. Inside VR, you're flying the plane and nothing else. And I gotta say, it's an amazing experience. I can never figure out exactly not to have them janky when they move. There's like multiple click spots. Look at that now. Isn't it fantastic? Okay, RPM is fairly on the limit. 3,000 feet, we're going to start leveling off here. Then we're going to start with a little course correction. 0 to 80 degrees. And we'll be starting a kind of a lazy turn back in towards the airport. Small bit of precip here as well. Oh, just keep our eye out there. Oh, that's gorgeous looking. And again, look, there's a lot to be said for Pimax Light. You know, it's light by nature. The thing is very, very light in your head. The Rift I found was, you know, it was comfortable. You'd wear it for a while, but like this thing, it's just like putting on a baseball cap, kinda. And the beauty is, I'm able to use my Nova Pro headset, which is super handy, because the biggest worry I had was, you know, do I need to change my audio system? But for my ample sized cranium, I can have my headphones on, which are the SteelSeries Nova Pro, and the headset fits on top of them. And there's no plastic on plastic, you know, breaking or cracking. Everything just fits. So I'm delighted with that. So speed down about 130 knots. We're 8 miles, skirting around the sides of the airport. And we'll do another left turn coming in here now. 050 degrees. All the while keeping an eye on the airport on the left hand side. And runway 24 should be appearing for us fairly soon. Now, as we prepare for our landing, we will be using some flaps. Just our approach flaps will do. And if things go wrong, we'll blame someone else. Now, you can see our turbine air temperature is quite low. That's because we're not really using a whole lot of power. So we've just got to be mindful of that. Now, temperature outside, we're not too bad. What's your reading down there? Yeah, it's about 10 degrees. We're not worried about any kind of mad freezing. Alright, left hand turn. Let's face us north. 360 degrees. Oh, that's pretty. Keep your speed in around the 130-ish. Now the Turbine Duke has a lot more capability. It's faster. But I don't know what it is about the piston. It's the fact that you can kind of tap the instruments. I love that. Okay, we're pretty much visual at this stage. Altitude. Let me see here now. Drop that down to 2.5. Attitude mode engaged. And 5 clicks should give us 500 feet a minute. Thereabouts, which it does. And we'll see our runway appearing very shortly. The big hangar there in the distance, that's the Lufthansa hangar. And that's pretty much right beside runway 24. So speed is creeping up just as we're descending. Start bringing it back a little bit. Okay, quick check before we go. Unsure do we need to put the booster pumps on. Again, flying this aircraft, this is a study level. Now, you can always pinch a salt when you say study level, but you know what Blacksquare have done with this aircraft, it's incredible. They have managed to put so much coding. Anything from the radios, the avionics, you know, the navigation, all the engine stuff. And again, like, I mean, we can jump down and say, hey, what are the engines doing right now? Isn't that incredible? Like, such a world of knowledge at your fingertips, and it's absolutely brilliant. Right, it's after getting hot in my cabin. Jesus, 34. Bring it down there quickly. Mother of God. Auto cool. We'll even, well, we won't open the window just yet because we want to land. Right, okay, autopilot. My airplane. Power coming back all the way. There's a little warning because of our gear. That's okay. We're going to hold this. Landing gear on the way down. We can probably hammer in some flaps here as well. 120. We're within the white arc to drop in some flaps. We'll do so. 32 degrees. Jeez, it was getting warm there, wasn't it? You can feel it. Okay, we're looking good. Descending here nicely. Small bit of precip here. Nothing getting picked up on the radar, it's only very, very light. It's so much more easier to navigate and control the aircraft in VR. I mean, the only thing I'm missing at the moment, and I say the moment because it's on the way, is force feedback hardware. That you'll actually feel the load bearing. And once, I mean, you couple that with a motion rig, a VR headset, especially from Pimax, because, lads, for the price, this is excellent. And you put in force feedback. We just need someone to make the smellulator. Or smellulator? That doesn't sound right. Simulator or the smellulator. See? Try and say it, it doesn't make sense. Outer markers looking good. Approach flaps are set, gears down. Simulated smell? Simulator or smellulator? It doesn't make sense. Anyway, we just need someone to make that. Okay, keep your speed in and around 100 knots here. I'm not too worried about the poppy lights. This is more so for kind of the airliners on a certain degree descent. But we're alright. 5 knot wind behind us. You planned this one well, Murph. Tailwind, you muppet. We're committed. We'll stay going. We'll keep this now as a very shallow rate of descent. Autopilot is off. Landing gear is down. Flaps are checked. And just a small bit of jiggery pokery here with the wind. I say we should be fine, but, you know, we should be fine. 25 degrees inside the cabin. It's starting to come down. Isn't it gas? I mean, you miss one thing, it'll come back at you. Okay, there's that big Lufthansa hanging there on the right hand side. So as we're lining up for our landing, we're looking at our touchdown zone, which is not too far with them pappies. See where those lights are left and right of the runway? Our touchdown zone is just after that. And as soon as we get ourselves kind of configured for there, our eyes then shift towards the end of the runway. Our speed is still holding at around 100. Prop is already full. And it's all about the finer adjustments. 4 knots wind now, starting to calm down. There's our middle marker. Looking good. We have loads of runway here. Shannon is a massive, massive runway. It was a backup to the space shuttle, if it ever had to land. Okay, hold the nose, power to idle, watch the flare. Now we'll just bleed off some of the speed. Easy now. There's a touch, and there's a touch. Alright, keep it on centre line. And a bit of manual braking. There's 60 knots. We're going to jump off at Alpha. And the sounds of this plane are incredible. Our GPS doing what it needs to do. See the way it automatically zooms in? Great work from PMS 50. Okay, flaps in. I'm going to exit off here at Alpha. And welcome to Shannon. Alright. So I'll go ahead and get our landing lights off. Strobes come off here as well. We'll make our way up to our general aviation parking. At this stage I might remove the old headphone simulation, only because the engine sounds are so good. Now you're talking. So as we taxi back here now, transponder can now go into standby. There's a setting in the GTN, or the, what's that, GNS? No, it's a GTN. There's a setting in the GTN 750 from PMS that when you land, it'll auto zoom. Super handy. A quiet day in Shannon. I need to get this on VATSIM. 20 degrees in the cabin. Hello, window open. So do let me know in the comment section below, lads, this sort of stuff. Are you liking it? Would you like to see more? Let me know how the audio is. Is it more of a distraction or is it kind of immersive? My plan is to add more of the hardware and of course the DOF Reality motion rig, and there'll be camera set up so you'll see what I can. Well, you'll see me. what I can see is pretty much what you can see on the screen. But in terms of having like the flight sim rig set up, I'll be adding to that kind of a little bit later on. But do let me know what you think. We'll just ramble across here. There's Paddy's cousin. Jimmy. Alright, get ourselves lined up here. Alright. So, parking brake coming on. Parking brake is set. Main lights here are all off. That's looking good. Go ahead and get the pedals off. Probably should have landed with the prop sync off, you muppet. See? I'll do stupid things. But if anyone noticed that before I've just kind of incriminated myself, I should have landed with the prop sync off. But if you noticed that, well done. You've won you are the alert pilot, or the alert viewer. Now let me see, so, well, shut down. Pretty much. Avionics need to come off. Good luck to you. Inverters. Thanks very much. Right engine. There, GB. And left engine. Little reset that the sim likes to do. And with that, we have our avionics turned off. Radios are all off. That's looking good here. Forward into our seat. Flow pop out. Thanks very much. And we'll put the generators to off. And just make sure everything here is turned off. Nav, beacon light, panel lights. They're all looking good. That's all looking good. Go ahead and bring those prop back as well. Super duper. Fuel tanks go to off. And here looks good to me. We can probably put our control locks in. And last but not least, bring up our tablet. We start locking things up outside. Let's go with the chocks, the pitot covers, and the engine covers. Our flags are installed. And last but not least, the battery. I want to close a little window here as well. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this flight. Again, let me know in the comments section below what you think. Shall we do more? And again, if you have any questions when it comes to the setup, how to stream it, the hardware, all the jazz, well, let me know about that as well. Do be sure to hit the little bell icon as well. Lets me, let you know when I do a video, and it also helps out the channel. So until the next time, you take care.